What is going on, everyone? It is me, Johnny. We are back with MMA Arcade Episode 2. Rob, how you going, man?
I'm doing great. Fantastic. Let me have a go at that. MM Arcade. There we go. There we go. Out of the
Didn't
gate.
make the mistake twice.
No, I did not. And it made it easier listening to the way you said it. I don't know. You said it flawlessly. So
Arcade Podcast. We'll get it there and we're not going to mess it up anymore at all.
We are there. So your podcast, your weekly podcast of MMA information and gaming news.
Absolutely. And we've just had a big weekend. But first of all, thank you all of you for watching our first episode. I mean, really enjoyed all the feedback. It seemed like everyone liked it. Hey, Rob?
Yeah, massively. And we have taken all the feedback. We've seen all the responses and we've taken them on board and processed them. And I don't know, we'll try to at least do one of them.
Well, one of the things that we will do on YouTube, we will put timestamps in the description. So if there is a particular segment you want to jump to, feel free to. But we are talking about UFC 286 and we are starting off with the main card, or the main event, I should say, Kamaru Usman versus Leon Edwards. We're going to be recapping all the main card fights and then talking about some video game news after, talk about what we're playing, and then add on some fan questions.
Can I just quickly point out, look at the background, mate. Look at the background.
You've
look at the shelf. Look at the shelf. Can I get some record? You didn't even mention it, even when we were off there.
I wanted to leave it.
Thing.
No, hold on. I wanted to leave it for the podcast because that's when the reaction is best. It does look good, man. I mean, I don't have a UFC belt to display.
No, but you got tons of other stuff. I'll trade you.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. You know what I want to get? I want to get a WWE replica belt. That's the best thing that I can get.
Mate, those dudes are athletes. Let's not get into those dudes. But well, I'm sure we can fight for a gaming belt somewhere down the future for sure. We'll do it live.
Look, here's the thing. If the podcast starts to do really well, we'll make up our own MM Arcade belt. You can get those things made. I would love to have one of those.
Have you ever played the game Super Smash Brothers?
Of course. So which one are you talking about specifically?
The latest one. What's the one now?
Oh, yeah. Melee. Ultimate.
Yeah. Do you play this one?
Yeah, on the Switch.
Okay, well we can make a belt for that tonight because brother, you don't. I will do you. You got no idea. I haven't
played in years now.
I am a sweat. I have to put on sweatbands. I need to take electrolytes. Like when I'm playing that game, it tilts me so bad.
Who's your main in Super Smash?
Ganondorf.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah, the good old dwarf.
Look, I'm Pikachu because I played Pikachu since 64 days.
Really?
And I've stuck it. Pikachu's always a gun. Always a gun.
Dude, he's strong. He's strong. Like very, very strong.
Yeah. Love Pikachu. But we're getting sidetracked. We started off with the games and not the MMA. But let's talk, Rob, all right? So we got Edwards, Usman, the main event at UFC 286.
Yeah. So we ultimately
top
down, huh?
Yeah, top down. I figure everyone would want us to talk about this first, right?
It was a stellar card. There was some cracker fights. And the fact that it was, for us anyway, Australians, it was on at 8 a.m., got to wake up early, watch the fights, have a coffee, and still have my whole Sunday to do all my other Sunday activities.
Because usually it starts at 2 p.m., right? Like when it's in the US. Yeah.
And it's like once you start watching them around midday-ish, like, your day's gone, your Sunday's gone just watching fights, which is not a bad Sunday.
Yeah,
but
you don't feel as productive.
Yeah, you only get 2 days on the weekend, But Leon Edwards and Kamaru Usman, and I had a feeling, Leon Edwards was going to do it.
Your fence sitting ultimately paid off, man.
I love the fence. I love sitting on the fence. Well, it's a hard sport to judge on, but.
Absolutely.
You know what it is? It's because in my mind, so the basic game plan to stuff someone who's primarily a wrestler, and you have superior hands than they do, but they want to take you down and control the fight there. All you do is straight line kicks, defend the takedowns, don't overextend with your strikes, and really start mixing levels, especially when it's a southpaw, like working his eyes low so that you can go high and then vice versa. Like in my head, that is such a simple strategy. And I always think this, but then you see people like Usman before the weekend, like Islam Makhachev, like Khabib does, like that that just like destroy the rules, take people down, hold them down, and they do it to a point where you start to second guess, like maybe the plan doesn't work, or like why isn't this working? When to me it makes so much sense. Leon Edwards renewed my faith.
Dude, that
sometimes it is just that easy. You know,
his kicks, I felt the pain in Usman's legs every time one of those kicks landed. Holy crap, man.
Yeah, and like he was just chopping low because you could tell. Like I was almost probably about halfway through the fight, I was almost certain Usman was going to get head kicks because he was setting it up so well. He was just chopping that leg, and to me, if I was fighting a wrestler, I would avoid round kicks, like kicks from the side, because you're always worried about it getting caught, especially if wrestling is a no-go, you don't want to go there. But not against a southpaw, because he's caught him with the head kick. That's the open side, is the side he's kicking those legs in. So if he tries to risk, he can't risk bringing his hand down because he'll eat another shin to the face. And it was a picture perfect fight for Leon Edwards.
Man, he had a game plan and he stuck to it. And ultimately, it just felt like Usman could never get his own game plan. He tried some takedowns. They didn't really work. And just the kicks, like, it ultimately dominated the fight. It allowed Edwards to keep his distance for pretty much all the fight. I know that there were the rounds where we can talk about the round 3 point deduction with the grabbing onto the fence. My brother messaged me and was like, "Oh, he grabbed the glove and everything like that." There were a few moments in there like that, so he ultimately did get the point deduction. But so here's the thing: even so, with that point deduction, if that didn't happen, he would have won unanimously. It was only because of that point deduction that one of the judges' cards, it ended up being a draw, but still the others were in favor of Edwards for the rest of it. So would you call that fight in favor of Edwards? I assume you would as well.
Oh, easily. I think he controlled the entire fight. He controlled the spacing super well, never overextended with any shots, was peppering away, constantly doing damage. And you know what goes undervalued was how good Leon Edwards' wrestling defense on the wall was. Like
100%.
He just 2-on-1, isolated one hand the entire fight. Did not let it up once. Usman couldn't get any sort of momentum or steam going with that.
Yeah.
Regarding the dirty strats and tactics, like the little glove, the glove grab, the cage grab, the nut shot. I remember when like the third one come up, I was like,
he's done it again.
You dirty dog. But he wasn't kicking me in the nuts, so I don't care.
But it must have thrown Usman off a little bit, because that takedown could have changed the game, because that was at a pivotal point where Usman had to go on and win pretty much every round to win that fight, because he did lose those first 2 rounds.
It's hard,
according to most of the judges anyway.
Yeah, it's okay. The whole cage grabbing, now that is such a hard thing to try and work out, and there's no real right answer at the moment that I can see that refs have anyway, because you deduct a point. Okay, but you lost a takedown. How much did that takedown mean to you? And we saw it the week before last with Rafael. I forget it's eluding me right now, but he retired on that fight as well. Anyway, he was taking the guy down, and the guy held the fence. Okay, couldn't get the takedown.
Yeah,
he got deducted 1 point because the takedown would have gone through. Referee said it would have gone through. We're deducting 1 point. Here you go.
Yeah,
he proceeded to rock Rafael and then scramble into a submission from that, like, which would not have happened in an alternate reality where he gets the takedown on the fence. It is, but what do you do? What do you do? Do you not take a point and try to recreate a position? Because if you've ever started, if anybody's ever started in a position, like if they've gone out in jiu-jitsu mats or anything else, they understand that, like, stopping the play, moving it in, like with dead momentum, is either detrimental to one or the other. It's not a neutral position anymore. It's but what do you do? What do you do?
There is no perfect solution. Like, ultimately, this is probably the best thing that they can do. But it could have had an impact. Usman could have got him to the ground and dominated that round, made him tired, made him bloodied, whatever it might be, and could have gone on to won the 4th and 5th. So we'll never know now. In an alternate reality, that could have happened. Because it was ultimately, in the end, it was a close fight, right?
Yeah,
it was close. I'm not saying it was. Maybe Usman won it. Like, no, I know some people were trying to say that. That's crap. But it was at least somewhat close. But clearly, Edwards got the win in the end.
I thought Leon Edwards won it pretty handedly. Like,
handedly,
he won it,
okay, all right.
Handedly, he won it, and he looked in control of the entire fight. Usman didn't land any significant takedowns, like, at all. You know,
I mean, he got a few good strikes in, like that elbow. Did you remember that elbow? Smashed him in the face, like.
But there were points where Leon was just like almost wrapping his shin around his head. You know, in that later fourth, in that later fifth, And it's very. I think people disregard the leg kicks too much a lot as well, because you don't see a lot of damage on the fighters. It's not something you can see super clearly, but it's there. He was chopping his leg the entire time with the stomps and outside, inside kicks. It was.
I would even say you did see it. There was one kick where Usman looked visibly shook. And I was like, holy crap. And credit to him, though. He stood up that entire fight. It went 5 rounds, even in the midst of all of that.
Yeah. And, you know, that's something I heard you heard on the grapevine. You know, it's like people are saying Usman's knees have finally gone. They're gone. They're finally giving out. You know, and because he's got bad knees. I don't know if you've heard, but he's got really bad knees. Like, apparently,
I've never seen someone like that with bad knees get taken with those kicks and still be standing. That is. If he has bad knees, I don't want to know what my knees are like. That's horrible.
Apparently, he goes down staircases backwards. Like, that's how bad.
No,
that's what I've heard. That's what I've heard. But
we need to get a tinfoil hat. Where is it? That's the next thing you're adding to your background.
I remember my mate saying, like, he was going for Leon Edwards, and he's just going, kick his knees, kick his knees, kick his fucking knees. So, but, all right, you know, Rob, Leon Edwards had a perfect game plan, stuck through with it 5 rounds. I think that was a championship effort.
All right.
Congratulations.
I got to ask you, though, because this has been the really controversial topic. Who does Edwards fight next? Because if you listen to Dana, Covington is going to get the fight. He was the backup fighter. But if you were to go by, like, who deserves it by, you know, fight win streak and all that, you would have to say Belal Muhammad. Who do you, I would ask you first, who do you think should get the fight? If you could say. Should. Man, should.
That's such a hard thing that's such a hard thing to mention. And okay, I want to just sit here and start contemplating, but my dad told me, he goes, don't go quiet on your podcast, because I thought there was something wrong with my podcast. And I was like, and honestly, it is so hard to say, because I think both guys have very strong arguments. Okay, I was watching Covington talk smack about Islam and Covington, like just a minute ago, and he's a crack up dude. He's funny. Yeah. He is.
He's a draw. He's the biggest draw in that division.
But he's also a killer in that division. He lost to Usman twice, I think, his last losses.
Yeah.
You know,
but I mean, he did win his last fight, but that was against someone that I think at the time, Masvidal wasn't actually in the top 10. So that's what a lot of people are saying. Like, does Covington actually deserve it? But, like, it's not just about that. It's also about selling a freaking pay-per-view. Yeah. Like, that's the big thing.
Yeah, I think both Muhammad and Belal Muhammad and Covington deserve the shot. I think they both deserve it. It's just a matter of who gets it first. And at the end, we're a business at the end of the day, okay? Yeah. And if I'm Leon Edwards, I want whoever brings the most pay-per-view buys to my card, and that's Covington. Fair. Okay, both guys deserve the shot. Both guys deserve a shot. I think the one who sells them, who can make it the company, and Leon Edwards, like, he should be jumping for that fight. Right, yeah. I see,
but he's reluctant. Not. He said he wouldn't sign. Not.
Yeah, I know he's reluctant, which is silly. But I do see the hard fight. I think Covington gives him a hell of a hard fight.
Oh, Covington will be a harder fight than Belal for sure. right? But I think Leon's perspective is like when he was taken off the rankings, he had to go through, like, it was hard, like, all these trials and tribulations to kind of get to where he is right now. And Covington's not going through the same thing. Maybe he was just a little bit upset with that. So I can get where he's coming from, for sure.
Yeah, but that's just the nature of the beast, though.
Yeah,
like it is. It's like it still makes me laugh when fighters are like surprised that this stuff happens. Like it's a business. It's a business. You know, you got to win fights and you got to sell shows, and that's the winning ticket to like calling all the shots, to being McGregor, to earning the big bucks.
For sure.
You know, that's just the nature of the beast.
I'm just thinking about that alternate universe where Usman did get that takedown, ended up winning the fight, and then we wouldn't be having this discussion in terms of whether Covington gets that fight.
Let me slide my opinion on that. I think even if he gets the takedown, he doesn't keep him there. Leon Edwards is doing so well. Like,
he was.
Like a couple times. Usman took him down to his bum, but he just got to the fence, got to a knee, isolated one hand, broke it up. Like. And, you know, there might be something to say. Remember, I mentioned last week that Leon Edwards was talking about the altitude, how it played a factor. Well, maybe it did, because he was much fitter this fight.
Altitude, home team advantage or home advantage.
All of it
in
above
the UK,
led to him
everything.
winning that fight. And he is the welterweight champion.
Yeah. Well, that was the main event, but let's talk about all the other, because as you said, it was a cracking card, Rob. We have Justin Gaethje, Rafael Fiziev. That fight was insane. Did you enjoy it as much as I did?
Mate, loved it. But let me say, and I mentioned it last week, that the best leg kicker in the game is Justin Gaethje. And I believe that first leg kick Justin Gaethje opened the fight with, I reckon that won him the fight.
You reckon?
Yeah, dude. Like, I reckon that, because that was a solid kick on like the calf muscle. And I think it hurt his leg to a point where if you've been calf kicked once, you're worried about getting calf kicked again. It's just something that's always there. And I don't know, it was everything we thought it would be. Fiziev, well, did I say it wrong?
Fiziev.
Fiziev. Fiziev was doing exactly everything we thought he would. He was just like throwing with bad intentions, combos. But Gaethje never went away. He was always willing to just stay there and trade. Be like, okay, I took one, but here's 2-3 more, you know?
Well, he had to, like, after that first round, because like Fiziev came out, he was so fast. And he was genuinely worrying Gaethje for a little bit there. And because it was only 3 rounds, he just needed to get that one more round after that. But maybe it was the calf kick. Just Gaethje kept landing strike after strike, uppercuts. And they were all clean hits. I'm surprised that Fiziev didn't get knocked out. Like, Gaethje is just a machine, man. And people, I think, maybe have forgotten about that.
No, I have not.
You haven't, but people have.
Rob didn't forget. Gaethje's an absolute murderer. And he's a dude that just lives to trade there. Like he's such a hard dude to try and out attrition, I think, because he doesn't really slow down. He kind of keeps the same pace. Like, he didn't have the same speed Fiziev did in round 1, but he had the same pace in round 1 as in round 3. If anything, you know, I'll go as far as to say he may have even looked a little faster in 3. And as soon as Fiziev started slowing down to the pace Justin could work at, you could see the trade exchanges were just changing hands. And
for sure.
Yeah, it was a beautiful fight. I loved Gaethje's message in the post fight interview where he goes, "There's the takedown," because you know everybody, even I was just saying, I'd love to see more takedowns from it. And he says it to shut us all up. Like, there's the takedown. Yeah, it was a cool dude.
Yeah, I was listening to some commentary after that. Like, Fiziev, like. He was meant to be the one, if he won this, to kind of break up that top 4 of the division, because now that Gaethje's won, what do you do? Like, everyone's fought everyone. It's like a closed group there of those in the top 4. What happens next, do you reckon? Like, who does Gaethje fight next?
Oh, Who do I want to see him
It's-
fight, or who does he fight?
Or you can answer both if you want.
Did you see Islam going commenting on like Chandler throwing the fight against
No, I didn't
against
see that.
Poirier,
No.
so that he got the fight
No.
with with McGregor. Like it is such
Yeah.
it is such a circus right now. I think Chael Sonnen mentioned it, and yeah, he's a funny dude as well. But
Yeah.
it's it's funny that dynamic in the top five of that division, because that dynamic is actually across several divisions right now. And
100% it is.
It's like it's a weird phenomenon that's kind of happening right now.
Yeah.
Because the titles are changing hands, and it's like 2 or 3 dudes are just gatekeeping everything else, so that it's like their own private club for them.
Rob, you're literally talking in your division. Like that's exactly what's happening with you right now.
That's
come
me.
on.
I'm stuck there, dude. That's where I am.
You
I'm
are
in
the gatekeeper.
Yeah,
and now
I'm in the
Vittori
little-
won. There's no one else coming in.
Yeah, man. Like I'm like in that little exclusive club of just like trying to like the love triangle.
Yeah, it's very interesting. But yeah, so Gaethje won. I mean, who knows what happens next? I am very interested to see McGregor and Chandler. But any more to say on that fight, or should we move on to Vittori and Dolidze? See, I got that one right this time.
Let's move. I think, did I say it right last week? I'm sure I did. Dolidze.
You got it right. No, 100%. I was wrong. I think I said dollars a day, but it's Dolidze. But man, you were right. If any of the fights that you picked last week, this is the one that you were most correct about. I mean, Vittori was a beast, man.
Yeah, Vittori did very well. I thought it was a very close fight. Very close fight.
Yep.
Like it's one of those fights that if Dolidze didn't get, he got his hand raised, and Vittori would be like, could see that happening, you know. But it was a tough fight. And you can see, it's crazy. Dolidze just walked him down with abandon, you know, throwing bombs, absolutely loading up on bombs. Dude. He would just walk him down, bah, bah, and like he was hitting Vittori. You know, it's like to have such confidence in your ground game. He's like almost kind of saying, "Take me down, go on, take it, take me down." He's just walking forward, throwing bombs. Luckily, Vittori spent the last 8 weeks or so in Thailand working on his stand-up striking and those leg kicks again. I think the leg kicks won the fight. I think leg kicks come in and save the day. Like,
dude, he did. So, it was very technical. It was very close, and ultimately, like. You would just say that Vittori just got more onto Dolidze, even though Dolidze probably got more of the hits that did land. They were probably a bit more significant, a bit bigger, but overall Vittori just did more. Yeah,
it's hard to say whether they were more significant, because like it could just have something to do with the way Dolidze was just walking him down and throwing bombs, you know,
and telegraphing him. Yeah.
Well, just walking him down, stalking him like that puts such a strong image in the judges' minds and in the viewers' eyes of just like how aggressive it was. It was such an aggressive showing. Like, even if you didn't get the W, like, but I think, that's not going to work on dudes in the top 5. It's not going to work on dudes in the top 5.
Another little exclusive club. I mean, would you say that Vittori probably goes on to fight Cannonier now? That's probably the fight to make.
I guess like they haven't fought yet, so that's
like the only logical conclusion, because like until the top 3 sorts itself out,
the top 5 club is just like it's just a weird spot. Who is it? Like the only guy I haven't fought in top 5 is Duplass, Driscus. So maybe there's room for me and him to dance.
Maybe.
That'll be fun.
Well, let's see. Yeah. Well, moving on, we've got a quick one because it was a quick fight, but Gunnar Nelson and Brian Barberena. Gunnar Nelson with the armbar.
I've been waiting for this one. Let me just publicly say, Gunnar Nelson, mate, I am sorry. I am sorry. I was so wrong. It's embarrassing. Like, for whatever reason, dude. I had in my head you were about 38 years old because to your credit, you've been fighting killers forever, right? Yeah, I feel like you've been fighting for the last 35 years, but yeah, in my head, you were like 38 and old. Dude, you come into the fight younger than I thought, springier than I thought, more fresh than I've ever seen you ever before, and you put on absolute clinic showing like that. I apologize. I had my facts super wrong. Barberino, not your week, brother. Not your week. Gunnar Nelson, I apologize. And
didn't have a chance.
I am a fan now. I am a fan. I want to be the man leading the train, the Gunnar Nelson train. You know? Yeah,
it was so good to see him, though. I mean, like, yeah, he has been around. It is good to see him win, and with a submission as well. I mean, of all the other fights, everything was a decision that night, or like at least with the main card. So it was nice to see a submission in there.
That was the most dominant showing on that main card.
Yeah,
like it was flawless. He did exactly what he wanted. You know, that level of control isn't seen in the UFC, not on main cards, really.
It was great, man. It was great
there
to see.
There it was. Gunnar Nelson, congratulations. Again, I'm sorry.
And last up on the main card, Jennifer Maia, Casey O'Neill. Casey, I was completely wrong about this. I mean, Maia just won the fight cleanly. Like, there wasn't anything more to it.
Yeah, I just feel like I think Casey gave too much space. I think she went in there. But in saying that, how hard does Maia hit? It's hard to say. My kids yelling in the background.
I can hear it. They're getting excited about the podcast. Right?
Someone messaged in the comments saying, like, loved hearing your kids. I feel like every time Casey went in and she'd pitter-patter, she'd go in there, put some volume and work in there. Maia would just like throw heavy leather and Casey would back out, giving her too much space. And that trade, that sort of exchange happened the entire fight, you know. But chin up, it was a great showing. Maia's got a lot of experience in the game. And, you know, I think we can expect big things from Casey moving forward for sure. For sure.
Oh, for sure. She'll come back. As you said, it's because Maia is such a veteran. That experience was ultimately what got her the win. But excited to see what O'Neill does. And probably, again, coming back from a pretty significant knee injury could have played a factor as well. Maybe she wasn't as confident on the feet.
Maybe. You know, there's, a big thing that I think a lot of fans and viewers of the sport miss and forget sometimes because They tune in to watch us punch on and see our super athletes doing their thing. But at the end of the day, we're just people. We're just normal men and women that wake up in the morning, have our coffees and go to work like everybody else. So the day-to-day grind and things with relationships and kids and family and events that happen, you know, outside of the octagon have a lot of significant impact of how you perform inside of the octagon. And, you never know what a fighter is going through. You know, you only see the results, the hand raised or not. It's you know. So
and I mean, like, and it was hard, it must have been hard for her. Like, this was she was undefeated, but I feel like being undefeated, it's so hard in the UFC nowadays. Only very few people have done it. So
massive card too. That O2 Arena was pumping. Yeah, absolutely pumping. You know, in London.
How good are UK fans?
Like almost as good as Aussie fans. It's crazy.
Yeah, only second to us.
Yeah, it was phenomenal. So like maybe that even played a big part because that was a massive show.
For sure. Well, do you have any closing thoughts on UFC 286 or anything else MMA you want to talk about, Rob?
Yeah, I think it was what a phenomenal card. You know, I think London did it again in terms of the support and just putting on a really stellar card. That was amazing to watch. You know, all the fighters on that card should be super impressed. There were some really, really impressive wins and showings in the prelims and the earlier fights as well. And I guess just moving forward this week, we got UFC on ESPN 43. The headline is Corey Sandhagen versus Marlon Vera. I am a big fan of Sandhagen. The thing is, like, I always tip Sandhagen, because like when you watch him fight, I never understand why he loses. Like, he's just so crafty. He and controls distancing so well. He's almost like Wonder Boy. It's another thing. I'm like, whenever Wonder Boy's fighting, I'm like, well, I'm tipping Wonder Boy because I never understand how he loses. Even when he loses, I don't understand how he loses. So I'm very excited for that fight. Not a pay-per-view card this week, but yeah, I think that's UFC and fight news this week. Look at this go, mate. 30 minutes. Someone
This
questioned.
literally, we said beforehand we're going to try and make this MMA segment 30 minutes, and we've pretty much nailed it. We're at 31 minutes in. Look at us go, man.
Someone commented going like, just if we can stick to the segment times. I was like, for you, mate, I will do that. I will do that. So there you go. 30 minutes of MMA talk. No more, no less.
100%. And now we're up to the video game news segment. A bit of a lighter week. We have some interesting topics to talk about. Plus, we'll be talking about what games that we've been playing recently as well. But the Diablo 4 open beta. First of all, Rob, are you a Diablo fan?
Oh, very much so.
Yeah. Are you excited for Diablo 4? I feel like I should ask you that straight up.
I am. I'm the sort of guy that I don't really play betas. I don't look up game trailers or I don't try to watch too much of what's going on until it releases. Because if I get excited for something that I can't have, I borderline go insane. So I try to keep my excitement levels to manageable moments. Yeah. But from everything I've heard,
like,
it is.
I've been playing it.
Oh, you've been playing the beta? That's another thing. I don't want to lose all my progress, dude. I don't want to put in hundreds of hours only to lose the progress when the beta closes.
Yeah, I mean, the good thing was, so that there was a closed beta and you had to pre-order it, or like, Blizzard will send you a code, and then there was the open beta. Your progress did cross over between those two if you happen to take place in the closed beta. But yeah, once the open beta is done, everyone's classes get reset. You can get some small medallions or stuff like that. But ultimately, man, I've been playing it. It's been really good. I've been enjoying it. I'm kind of thankful that Starfield is like way away in terms of releasing, potentially near Diablo, because like my guess was always it would release in June, and now it's going to be in September. So Diablo can take that June period, and we don't have to try and play two massive RPGs at once. But yeah, like there were some connection issues, but I think most of the people, and this is the one benefit, Rob, that we have playing in Australia. Like, so yeah, sometimes we don't get servers where we are and the connection's a bit crap. But literally everyone in the US and in Europe were having like hours of waiting time just queued in trying to get into this beta. And then every time I'm hopping on to play it, I just go straight in because not as many people are playing in Australia. It's great.
I gotta ask, like the people that are complaining about the queue times, like, have they never played any Hot Topic online game ever? Like ever?
It's like they were surprised. Like, come on, man. It was the closed beta. Yeah.
Is this the first time you've ever played an online game on release? Like, what? Is that like that's what happens? Yeah, you know. But
and it's a beta too.
Is it going to be season based, like 3 and 2 and everything else ended up, or is it going to be different?
I don't actually know whether it's going to be season based. Like all that I know is like they've got the two new classes. So they got the Druid and the Necromancer that are joining in the open beta. I don't know how the seasons are going to work though. But what they're doing, which I really like right now, is they're going for a much more of a focus on storytelling. Like if you even played the beta, a lot of cutscenes. They're trying to tell out this story with Lilith. Yeah. It's really cool as someone that does like storytelling to come into a game like this with such an emphasis.
Yeah, they had druids and necromancers in 2. Did you play 2?
I didn't play 2 though. I played 3, but not 2. Yeah,
played a lot of
but in terms of like what are new now, I played 3. But in terms of like the characters that are new now, you had the barbarian, rogue, and the sorcerer in the closed, and now in the open they're introducing the druid and the necromancer.
Okay,
so druid looks freaking awesome. I definitely want to play as that. But I played as the rogue, and that was all right.
I've got to ask you. Here's the most important question you'll be asked today, mate.
Go on.
Do you play softcore or hardcore?
You know my answer, Rob. You know my answer.
I know the answer.
Say, yeah. Look, and there's no shame in it. I look at it. There's no shame in it.
Yeah, there's no shame in it.
I know you like to sweat when you play video games.
You're the one that groaned when I asked the question.
I knew it was coming too.
Where's I got a mate. You know my best mate Pete. He's like he'll play hardcore if I force him and like keep him on there. But as soon as I log out for any amount of time, softcore character straight away. Like
good on him though, sticking to his convictions.
Mate, no hardcore like mate. There is something about the moment when shit's hitting the fan and you're lagging and like you're surrounded by mobs and you know you're going to lose a character that you've spent about 40, 50, 60 hours in and your balls start going into your heart. Your butthole clenches. And dude, that moment I live for.
Dude, you and I clearly have a different idea of what's enjoyable when it comes to playing video games.
The post death depression's a bit hard, but mate, it is. I don't know. I live for that. Moment.
Look, it's not like I'm like there will be games that I do it with. Like I'll give you an example. Doom Eternal, right? I played that on the hardest difficulty. I finished it, got killed a ton of times, but it got in there in the end, and it was satisfying. Yeah. But in the moment, if you ask me, did I enjoy that? Like 9 times out of 10, no, because I kept dying.
Doom's a hard game to enjoy just because of how fast everything's going. Like I love Doom, but I gotta give myself like a time limit. Otherwise, my anxiety goes to 10. Like there's just things going everywhere. It's hard to keep tabs on. I'm not
especially
as fast.
Doom Eternal.
Yeah, I'm not as fast as I used to be.
Yeah, that game, like I finished it on the hardest difficulty, and you have veterans that are really good at it. But if you don't play it for a couple of months and you try and come back to it, you'll get your ass handed to you. It is that game where you need to pick up on the combos. You need to make sure that you're swapping weapons constantly. Recently, it had its 3rd birthday as well. It's been 3 years, Rob. Isn't that crazy?
Time is flying by. Like it is. It just flies. It's it's one of those games you need to be on and you need to stay on.
You need to have some energy drink next to you and just be firing. But next up we have Sony. So Sony versus Microsoft. There's a big long kind of fight, I guess you can call it, between them over Microsoft wanting to acquire Activision Blizzard. There's been a lot of back and forth. Like they're going to court as well. Ultimately, like a big part of it does come down to Call of Duty. Sony is a little bit worried that Microsoft, they're signing 10-year deals everywhere to Nintendo and random streaming services. But Sony is worried that Xbox could turn around and deliver kind of like a worse product of Call of Duty, specifically on PlayStation consoles. Microsoft is saying that doesn't make sense because we'd want the game to sell as well as possible. I got to ask you, Rob, like, what do you think about, first of all, Microsoft wanting to acquire Activision Blizzard? It's a massive, massive acquisition that still hasn't finished yet.
When you say Activision Blizzard, like that's the subsection, the branch of Blizzard, yeah.
So Activision Blizzard is the parent company. So the one that owns both Blizzard. Yeah, Blizzard is under there. You know, Activision is under there. So think of Call of Duty, Diablo, everything. If this acquisition goes through, would be owned by Microsoft / Xbox.
Mate,
it's huge, man. It's huge.
If Microsoft have the power to get Blizzard, then dude, like. It's only a matter of time before Microsoft owns the world.
I know, but like this is probably, if this acquisition goes through, because they obviously just acquired, or before that acquired ZeniMax with Fallout, Elder Scrolls, etc. And then if they do acquire them, they can't be acquiring anyone else for such a long time, especially because how hard this acquisition is proving to be. It is taking forever to get done and still not approved because government bodies are saying, we're a little bit worried about you monopolizing the industry.
That's literally what they're doing. That's literally what they're doing.
That's not what Microsoft says.
It's a little bit late to say we're worried now. They already own like several of the kingpins. It's yeah.
Here's the thing, Rob. They do. If you look at console gaming. Yeah, it's Microsoft, it's PlayStation, and it's Nintendo. But if you look at gaming as a broader spectrum, mobile games, you've got bigger companies than Microsoft out there. Like Microsoft actually isn't even in the top. You've got companies that are heavily involved in mobile games, in online MMOs that are making hand over fist with money. And that's essentially Microsoft's argument, is to say, you're taking such a narrow view of the games industry. It's not just console games. It's this wider bubble here.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're going to get it done though. They're probably going to have to make some concessions, which is why they're handing out 10-year deals everywhere.
Mate, Blizzard is the first step to world domination. Mark my words.
I love how you think it's Blizzard and not Activision, because Call of Duty is the biggest title to play here.
Yeah, but I just feel like that's the, wow. That's the avenue. Fair? That's the avenue that opens the doors to like MMOs. Like what is the limitation past that? There's like they're into every other avenue and genre. I think it's just doesn't bother me. I play computer.
It's gonna be interesting. Like at the end of the day, it's good for us. The competition's good. We're still gonna get our Blizzard games, our Activision games. Potentially down the line if you own a PlayStation, maybe not. But Microsoft is they're at least saying we're gonna leave you with your games. But moving on to the last topic. So Rob, I don't know if you know much of this, but it was just it was like the top news story this week. It must have been. So the Nintendo Wii U and the 3DS, the eShops are essentially closing down because they're older consoles. It costs money to keep those stores up. Nintendo saying we're going to shut them down. And it's happening very soon this month. So starting like last year, roughly, there was this YouTuber. His name is The Completionist. He was like, I'm going to buy every single game on the Wii U store and the 3DS store to make sure I have them before they are shut down. Because once the stores are shut down, you will not be able to download and play a lot of these games. A lot of these games that are exclusive to those stores. This guy ended up spending $22,791 buying 464 eShop cards because he couldn't do it all through credit cards because the bank would probably cancel the transactions. Getting how many games? It was 866 Wii U games and 1,547 3DS games. Could you imagine spending that amount of money on video games? It was crazy.
Well, it depends how big of a YouTuber is he? Massive?
He's pretty big. Honestly, he would probably make that money back in the video that he made of it because it's getting hundreds of thousands of views.
Then it's a no thought. But
it was very smart if you think about it from that perspective.
Yeah, but more than that, like once you've got them all, what do you do with yourself? Like you're going to be browsing through that library forever.
Do you know what he did though, Rob?
What?
So he's donating it to a video game foundation that's like committing to preservating video games. So now those video games will never be lost because he was the one that downloaded it and he donated. So he had the 3DS and like several SSDs and SD cards and donated the whole thing. Imagine spending $22,000 and just donating.
Yeah, but that's just for a video then. That annoys me a little bit. You've taken some of the happy jelly beans out of what you just told me because like then he did it just for the YouTube video.
I would say he did it for the preservation.
I wanted him to be a dude that spent his life savings on these Wii U 3DS games and now has to spend the next 10 years playing 400 odd games.
Dude, like no one's going to be able
3DS games.
No one's finishing that amount of titles, like over 2,000 titles. I genuinely don't know anyone that could finish that amount of titles in their lifetime. Maybe just play briefly, but definitely not finish in their entirety.
Well, you see, that's how you get my subscribe. I like seeing the weird, like passionate.
Dude, I reckon you'd like his channel. His channel is really, really cool. His whole shtick is pretty much the completionist. I will finish every single aspect in a video game. Any achievement, every collectible, literally everything, he completes it and he kind of journeys the process. It's really interesting.
Okay, you know, like in terms of like watching video game stuff, like my favorite stuff is I like watching people suffer. Okay, not in real life, in games. Okay, like I want to see people, like I want to see something that is so painstakingly hard that you know they are not enjoying themselves. So like you played Elden Ring. I'm sure a lot of other people.
Of course.
Look up challenge runs. There's a dude that does like the no running challenge. And like he has no fast travel or anything like that either. He walks the entire game.
Insane.
Like bosses, kills, everything. Like it is, he hates himself. Like, and I love that. That's why.
Didn't that dude, he did the no dodging challenge as well? It was something crazy like that. I don't know how they do that.
I've watched them all. It's so good because they're suffering and it makes me feel good. Does that make me a psycho? It does, eh?
A little bit, but it makes you feel better because you've gone through the hard yards in Elden Ring and you know how hard that game can be.
Mate, and to watch him walk through it is just funny. I love it. I love it.
Well, speaking of games that we're playing, let's cover that next section off. For me, I've been playing the Resident Evil 4 remake.
You mentioned that last week.
Yeah, man.
Tell me about it.
It's been exciting. It's really, so it's, to be clear, like an embargo just went up. There's certain things that I can't say. The full game is releasing later in the week, but it is really, really good, man. Like, and as someone that I didn't actually play did you play the original Resident Evil 4?
Yeah, is that the one with the village?
Yeah,
it's like a creepy looking village.
No, so there's Resident Evil 7, which is like the village, but like it is its own village, but it's based in rural Spain, and there's a bunch of people that have been taken over by a parasite. Very a similar story to most Resident Evils. Yeah, it's you play as Leon, the guy with like the longer, whiter hair.
They're not zombies. They're like cultist looking things. Yeah, I did play that. I did play that way back in the day.
Yeah. But the remake is it runs beautifully. They've added some really cool new things. I'm really enjoying it, man. Again, there's not too much that I can say about it. But the reviews that came out, they were like unanimously 90. Like there were hundreds. IGN gave it 100. Other places gave it a 10 out of 10. It is looking to be, even though it's only like 15 hours or so, it's looking to be a really, really strong pickup. If you are interested in Resident Evil,
have they kept strong to their roots where it's like the directionals, like you can only walk forward and backwards and then you have to turn your character, or have they made it like full
not
360?
I mean, yeah, you can full 360 it, but they've remade it, so like there's a lot of nice kind of conveniences now. But it just like I was genuinely surprised about how well it ran, and it's a super interesting story. It's Resident Evil as you would love it, so I'm excited for other people to pick it up.
You a big Resident Evil fan?
I am. I like the reason. I tell you why. The reason why I like Resident Evil, because the games are typically shorter, and with my schedule at the moment, I love short games. I love games that I can get done in just like a week or two. Like this is 15 hours. The previous Resident Evil games like 20 to 30 hours. You're not spending crazy amounts of time. And I know that I love Bethesda games and other big RPGs, which are like hundreds of hours. So every now and again, it's nice to play a Resident Evil game. 15 hours, 20 hours, 25 hours, you get it done, you have a blast, and then you move on. That's why I love them. That's why I always play them.
See, I'm the opposite there. I hate it. If it's got an ending, I don't really want to play it. I need to be able to play this game forever.
Come on.
No, because
you said that you can't play a game that's like a different character or like a character that's existing.
I'll play a character and then I'll stop. I won't feel like playing that game, and then 2 years later I'll come back and start playing it. Like the same character, same dude. Yeah. But
I reckon you'll like it, man.
I remember playing Resident Evil way back when I was a kid, and it used to give me absolute nightmares.
100%.
Like I'd be in my bed and think I can hear zombies crawling downstairs, but like, but I just kept playing it. I kept playing it. I loved it. What's in your opinion what's your favorite Resident Evil title, and what do you think is the best Resident Evil title? Let's get into this. Let's fight over this.
I really liked Biohazard. No, I would say I really, really liked Biohazard. I thought that game was phenomenal. I don't know why though. I have fun. I kind of remember the name of it. I have fond memories of the Resident Evil game. You probably played it if you played it that long ago. So it's the one where, if you remember, you kind of like every time you'd go into a new scene and there's just like a static background, and you would go through, shoot some zombies, and move to the next scene. It wasn't like an open world experience or anything like that. I cannot remember the name of it, but that game creeped the hell out of me and got me into Resident Evil in the first place. I'll think of the name. It's on the tip of my tongue. But whatever name of that Resident Evil game, that would be one of my favorites.
My favorite Resident Evil was Outbreak. Resident Evil Outbreak.
Yeah.
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 Like, it had like two
Fair.
parts to it, and I loved it. Like, you played as a copper or a lady, and they all had their own unique things, and it was like a set scenario.
Yeah.
It's the same scenario every time, but how the order in which you did activities changed the outcome of the scenario. I just love that game. But I think one of the better ones, and one of the ones that still gives me bloody nightmares thinking about it, is Code Veronica. Did you ever play that one?
Yeah. I never played it, but I've heard good things.
Okay, so everyone out there who's played Code Veronica, if you guys remember the scene where the cop's locked in his office and he's been bitten, and you go in there earlier on and he goes, just leave me here to die, take this key, blah, 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 go deal with it. And then you leave and he locks the door behind it, so you can't get back in. But then somehow later in the game, hours after hours, you go back in there and it plays this cutscene of him turning into a zombie. That is still in my head, giving me PTSD.
I love it.
It lives there rent free. It is terrifying. Probably one of the most terrifying scenes I can remember. Like, it was terrifying.
How good is Resident Evil, honestly?
Mate, it's iconic at this point, isn't it?
Yeah. But what about you? What are you playing at the moment?
I am playing Pathfinder: Wrath of the Righteous. So
okay, all right.
Yeah, if you're a fan of games like Dragon Age, like things like that, it's similar to that, but it runs off like the D&D 5th edition rules, Pathfinder subsect sort of thing. And I'm hooked on that. Like the character building in that, because I love building characters. So I'll spend 4 hours just in character building. Like character creation screen, just like hours. I'll spend days researching subcategories of dips and levels and skill attributes and feats just to make the optimum build. I won't even play the game. I'll just spend a week thinking of the build and then get sick of the game just from researching it. Like, I'm
getting a common theme here, Rob, because you said something similar last week when it came to Fallout 76. Is that just what you do? You get so invested and then you don't play the game?
I love building characters. It's my favorite thing to do in the world. I love trying to min-max characters, and it's so much fun. I do it in all my games.
It's honestly similar to like modding an Elder Scrolls game or a Fallout game. You spend more time modding than you actually do playing the damn game. And by the time you got your mod set ready, your list, and you're ready to play, you're too tired, and then you move on. Yeah. And then the next day you're like, "Whoa, I want to add this new mod and see how it goes." And you barely play the game.
You know what happens to me? Every time I try and jump back into Skyrim, I go straight into the mod workshop and I start downloading. And I'm like, have you heard of the story of Icarus? That's me. I fly too close to the sun. I want too much. The greed gets to me, and then I go to play and it crashes instantly.
Because you add too much crap to it.
Every time, like 200 mods, I'm like, one more.
Poor Pathfinder. It's never going to have you play it at all.
Sick game, though. If you like building characters and you like games like Dragon Age, Pathfinder: Wrath of the Righteous, really, really cool. It's got like a
awesome,
like a Heroes of Might and Magic element in there as well. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, right. Sweet. Well, that's what we're playing, and now we're moving on to the last segment, fan questions. Rob, we pulled from the same set of questions that were posed after you tweeted the other week. Mm-hmm. So the first question that we have is from CaseyJ_516 asking, do you consider a hot dog in a bun a sandwich? Yes or no?
And I'll give you a real easy answer for that one. Anything encased in bread is a sandwich. Don't care.
Anything. Look, I would agree the hot dog in a bun, it's a sausage sandwich, right? That's what it is.
Mate.
But I think that's a stretch because there's some other creations that you might not consider it a sandwich.
Name something.
Let's say, okay. Let's say you're having, no, that wouldn't count. Hey, I'm trying to think of something that.
No. Okay, let me run through some hypotheticals. I just put it on you there. Okay, let me run you through some hypotheticals to really, really drive home my point. You got a meat pie. You put it between two pieces of bread. What is it? You got a banana.
It's a meat pie sandwich.
Mate, you got a banana. You put it between two pieces of bread. What is it?
Banana sandwich.
Right, mate, it's just simple. It's simple facts. That's just how it is.
But is it the placement of the bread like this? Because what if here's the thing. What if it's just one piece of bread folded over and the sausage in there? Is that still a sandwich? Are you witching the sands together, Rob? Because it's just one piece of bread.
riddle me this. What do you call a sausage in a piece of bread?
It's a sausage sandwich. I know. I agree. I'm just trying to think of something that combats your general rule because it's too good.
It doesn't. It's like if it's encased in bread, it's a sandwich.
And I'm going to think of something. Next podcast, I'll come with something that's like, have you thought of this? But no. So Disco Panda on Twitter asks, Bobby Knuckles, what's one area of your game you personally felt was weak and you addressed it before a specific fight that required it? What do you reckon?
So probably my debut. No, not debut. So I've the end of the show, the Ultimate Fighter show, I fought the finale and I won that fight. But then my first fight in the UFC post the show was against name's eluding me right now, but he was a strong wrestler. That was his whole game, his whole stick.
Right.
Right. And I hadn't done nada wrestling, like almost no wrestling at this point. So the whole camp I had trained with my left hand down, which you can see in the fight. My left hand is by my ankles just about the entire fight to get the head start with stuff in the takedowns. Looking back, so obviously my wrestling was weak. I addressed it for that fight in specific with my hand down. Looking back at that fight, I think it's the most stupid thing I've ever seen in my life. I am embarrassed to have fought like that, but it happened, and there it is.
Well, you learn from it, right? I mean, it's just you cringe a little bit when you see the highlights, but that's how often do those highlights come up, anyways, right?
Oh, too often, mate. Too often.
Too often. It's because you're hyper fixating on it. You're noticing it every time.
Too often.
Well, there you go, Disco Panda. And then next question we've got Upkick for the Win asks, if you could instantly have one non-MMA skill, what would it be?
Oh, man.
I really like this question.
That's a massive question. I'm going to let you answer this first. You go first.
So I can think about the thing that I've always wanted to be able to do is work with like visual effects and be an animator. Like the people that can just whip together an intro for a video or a cool cinematographic, just even be a really good artist, create my own emotes and stuff. I would love to have that skill. I think that's invaluable. I could probably take the time and be invested in it. I don't know how much time it would take. It would be such a cool thing to be able to do. So that's the one thing for me. Non-MMA.
You can do it. Like, granted, you do it for our podcast now for your own video YouTube channel as well.
Yeah, I mean, the things that I create are very simple. Yeah. Look, video editing was a little bit intimidating to me before I got into it, and then you learn it. So it could just be another one of those things. But I really do think like the level to which you need to get at to be good at it is much higher than video editing.
So is this question, like when they say non-skill, do we become like the best at that skill? Is that how we're interpreting this question, or are we just okay at this skill?
Oh, he just says not just one skill, not the best at, but something that you can do.
Just like, something
pretty better than the general population.
That changes everything. Because I was going to say soccer,
what were you going to say?
Football.
Because
if I had godlike skill, then I could just become the next Robaldinho. You know what I mean?
There's a lot of money in football,
mate. I could have nailed it. But if you're going to make me average, I don't want to be a freaking average soccer player. That's terrible.
That's a good point.
What do I do? Coach my son's team. I know. So I guess.
Wait, hold on. So what? Were you always a big fan of soccer? More than any other sport?
Rugby league. It's just I know the soccer players get paid more. So
same. Who do you support rugby league? By the way,
I'm working with the Bulldogs this year.
Yeah. I thought it was Bulldogs. Yeah, that was my first guess.
Yeah,
I'm a Raiders boy. I'm Canberra born and bred. So,
that explains a lot.
Look, listen here, man. Next episode, I'm wearing my jersey. I know that we have a crap team this year, right? But we're gonna do good.
One of the first jerseys I ever actually received was a Canberra Raiders jersey. You know, I got a soft spot for Canberra Raiders. Yeah. When I was like in the under 8s, my dad came home with a Canberra Raiders jersey. Don't know why. Because he follows the Bunnies.
Is your dad a Raiders fan?
He follows the Bunnies. I got no idea why he came home with that jersey. But it's a fond memory of mine. So no soft spot for him. But If I could have
That's cool, man.
one skill that's not MMA related that I'm okay at, far out. Okay.
Football.
No, it would have to be, I'm going to say, how okay? Like how good's okay? Like
I would say you're pretty good. Like you could, you know.
Okay, so like if I chose the guitar, I could busk. That good?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to say...
I've seen some pretty good buskers play guitar too.
I'm going to say poker.
Poker? That's okay.
Actually, no. I changed my answer. Magic.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, magic. Because that
Magic?
would be... Yeah. That would be such a cool...
Is that something you've always wanted to do?
Yeah, I'd love to do it if I could. I just don't have the dexterity. Like all that sleight of hand stuff, that looks phenomenal.
Yeah.
I thought poker would be cool because then you could full hustle your mates and like, you know, when like every Christmas dinner when everyone's around, it's like, hey, I want to play some poker. It's like, you know who's winning. but I think sleight of hand would be way cooler. If you go, guys, check this out.
You could hustle your mates as well. Like if you're a magician with like a 3-card Monty, you'd be able to do that easy. That'd be like a walk in the park for you,
mate. Yeah, I reckon magic. I reckon sleight of hand would be wicked to be all right at. You know,
that's a cool answer. So next up, we've got Crimson MK1 on Twitter. What is your Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu level? I'm a black belt. I've been doing it. What Dan?
I've just the first. No, not. I don't think I'm a first now. I think I'm just a black belt. I received it maybe the year before last. I've been doing jiu-jitsu since I was about 14. So what's that?
Yeah, cool.
Like 16 odd years or something like that. It's
it's
been a long journey. But yeah, I'm black belt. I don't do as much gear as I want to now. But obviously most of it is MMA specific, which is a lot of no gi. But
fair.
Yeah, a lot of love for the sport still. What's next?
Yeah, sweet. And the last question that we've got is Swag Biscuit 1. What is your what is your favorite?
You know what I love about Swag Biscuit 1? You're like, someone took Swag Biscuit and he was like, no, I want this name. He's like, no, I want this name. And put one after it.
Because it's number one. This is the number one Swag Biscuit.
Or he's like my dad and made Swag Biscuit before and forgot all his login details. So
that's brilliant. Yeah. So Swag Biscuit 1 asks, what is your favorite division to watch in the UFC right now?
Ooh, that's tricky. What's yours?
Look, Rob, I like watching your division. I'll be honest. I like watching you fight. But after that, I would probably say, oh, man. I'm going to say heavyweight because I think John Jones is a freak. And I just love watching heavyweights just batter each other, man.
Yeah, man.
So I would say that.
Heavyweight fights are cool. But I would have to say lightweight, I reckon. I reckon that would be my favorite division to watch right now.
Now because of the fighters in there.
I also enjoy watching heavyweight and light heavyweights. Like the bigger boys just because like a knockout's around the corner. You know? So that's a lot of fun. But the lightweight division, like actually no, I say lightweight division, but I'm only talking about Poirier, Gaethje, and what's his name? Top of my head, can't remember. Guy fighting McGregor. Chandler. Like that's the only reason why I want to see those three dudes fight each other all at once
forever.
Just those three. You know. Yeah, probably.
I would love to see the UFC introduce that multi-man fight.
Probably heavyweight too. Sick. Heavyweight too would be my favorite. I reckon it's just a cool division.
Yeah, sick. Well, we've got to the end of the fan questions. Rob, did you have anything else you wanted to chat about at the end? We've reached that hour mark. We're doing really well, man. Mate, I tell you what,
we're hitting our time marks perfectly. You're welcome, random. You're welcome, random comment in YouTube who I did this for.
Exactly, and we'll have the timestamps in the description. So, Rob, thank you for joining today. It's been great talking as always,
mate. Thanks for having me, and thank you for coming on. Thank you for all the listeners for tuning in and tuning in to last week's episode. You know, it fuels us to get these out, and it's been fun. Stay tuned for next week.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, everyone. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Peace.